Hello, my name is Matt. You want a review? Prepare to watch. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today our movie in the middle is The Princess Bride. The Princess Bride is the beloved fairy tale following a princess and her true love who voyages to rescue her from the hands of an evil prince, helped out by two pirates looking for revenge and redemption. It stars Wright, Cary, Elwes, Mandy, Patinkin, Sarandon, Christopher Guest, Billy Crystal, Andre the Giant, and Peter Faulk. So it is September, which means we are creeping into fall, although some people take that as put the Home Depot 12-foot skeletons in my yard now. But September for me has somehow become a month of watching fantasy stuff. I think it's because I do Renfest around this time. I listen to Into the Woods soundtrack at this time. I don't know, something happened last year where I started doing that and I really loved it. So I was like, I really want to review something that is just a big fantasy movie. And you can't talk about fantasy and not include The Princess Bride. This is one of those that I've been wanting to do for a really long time. So let's get into it. The best thing about this movie, the biggest charm that it has, is actually what would be a problem for most movies, is its cheesiness. And of course, cheesiness, can be a really big high and an advantage for, a lot of movies, especially comedies that came out in the 80s, ones that don't take themselves seriously, and that's kind of their purpose, things like Mel Brooks movies, Airplane, Monty Python, that kind of thing.
Yes, I have. Look! It's just a flesh wound.
Like lots of the sets that aren't on location are clearly sound stages. The story gets ridiculous. The acting is over the top. The dialogue is dramatic, overly dramatic at times. But they strike a really good line of doing that, but also actually being able to take it somewhat seriously as a story. But the thing is that this movie knows what it is, and it just rides with it. It really commits to it. And actually, it's because of that not only is it very, very fun, but it actually makes it feel like a real-life fairy tale, like come to life. And I just love that, because it's serious at times, but it's just like a fun fantasy movie. It's not like any of these that have been like super dark and gritty and really tried to make it as grounded but fantastical as possible. This one's just like, yeah, fantasy, we love it. Ren Fair shit, start cosplaying now. And a lot of the comfort that comes from this movie is that it is so funny. There are moments throughout this entire movie that I crack up at to this day, and I have seen this movie several times. Not only are there just like jokes, and there's a lot of really dumb jokes that have become pretty iconic, but it's a lot of this banter that also comes into play where it's like weirdly formal and they're like sort of, like they're not mean to each other, but they're also sort of arguing. Like, it's just the way that the dynamic of conversation works in this movie is very, very interesting. And yet, while it is pretty unserious on the surface, there are a lot of these archetypical, deeper themes that come in throughout the movie that you can take pretty seriously, like honor and revenge and, of course, true love. And it's not anything that makes it super heavy or hard to watch or really makes you think, but it feels good to have these, moments of, like, true seriousness within the movie where it could just be endless jokes and stupid gags. Specifically the Inigo Montoya scene, and not even just for the scene itself, but, and you probably already know this, for the fact that when he says, "I want my father back, you son of a bitch," Mandy Patinkin had just lost his father to cancer. So you can see it resonated with him for real in that scene. And of course, you can do no wrong with having Peter Faulk read this tale to his grandson, just that whole context of how the movie actually takes place. Also just so fun, makes for some great heartwarming scenes. After recent events in my family, actually, it's been taking on kind of a whole new meaning as well. Just having this, grandfather and his son just coming together and, bonding with each other over this story that the kid doesn't want to read, and then after, an hour, he's, like, so into it that he's about to throw up. Like, it's just, it's such a great little thing that they added that could have just been the fairy tale, but it makes it that much more, weirdly enough, fake because it's now a story in the story, but also more real because it's now more real to these characters. But what's so cool about this movie is not just the movie itself, but its legacy. The stuff that it's left behind and just continues on with in the fans. This movie is, in a sense, iconic. Just take the quotes. The number of quotes, for example. You know, I always wonder, like, which movie, specifically of, like, older movies, is the one that probably has the majority of famous quotes, like, the most recognizable quotes. And a lot of them that come to mind are things like Wizard of Oz or maybe Casablanca, which have a few each that are very definable quotes. But I would have to say that Princess Bride is the one that has absolutely the most, because in every scene there's one. Like, almost every scene.
Knowledge.
Have fun storming the castle.
Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Inconceivable. Bit of despair.
Mostly dead. He's slightly alive.
Never go in against a Sicilian when death is on the line.
As you wish.
And that's just the recognizable quotes that people will know even if they haven't seen the movie. That's not even to mention the dialogue that is simultaneously over the top and hilarious, but also clever and can be really badass. But again, it's this legacy of the movie, what's come after it, with the fans, with the fandom itself, and it being a cult classic. I wouldn't even say it's a cult classic anymore, but it has a very, very passionate following. I went to see The Princess Bride at the Lyric a couple months ago, and it was followed up by a conversation with Cary Elwes. He was, he was like 500 feet in front of me. And this showed me two things. One, the fan base for this movie is very intense. They love it to pieces. We were all sitting there just quoting the entire movie. There was a woman in front of me who almost scared me. She was quite into it. It was a lot. It shows, like, everyone just loves every single second of this movie. And people came dressed up as the characters. It's like big, Halloween costume item, especially with couples like Wesley and Buttercup. But the other thing that this showed me was, from all of what Cary Elwes was talking about, it was like this movie, the cast, the crew, they just went out there to have a good time. They went out there to make this fun movie. They were having a good time with it. They are just a bunch of people who don't seem to have been corrupted by Hollywood. They seem like genuine, down-to-earth people. Cary Elwes was awesome. He just seemed so humble, just so shocked still by how many people love this movie, and he is just so willing to get back into it and just do stuff for people and quote stuff for people. And that seems to be across the gambit of all of the actors and the crew from this movie. They just wanted to go out there and make a simple, fun fantasy fairy tale. And the fact that this movie and the people who made it don't have to boast about it, people just love it and will go to them for it. They're just so humble about it. It's inspirational, and I would say it's pretty demure, no?
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
So overall, The Princess Bride, it's a comedy, it's a fantasy, it's an adventure, it's a romance, it's a simple tale that people can dive into, laugh at, and cheer for in every second that they're watching it. And because of how it is and how its cheesiness works for it, any tangible flaws that this movie could have actually, weirdly enough, act as pros towards it, kind of circling back in on itself so that it can't really do anything wrong. And so with that said, I'm going to give The Princess Bride a 4 out of 4. Making it my next top shelf movie. Well, guys, let me know what you think of The Princess Bride. It is such a classic. It's in probably my top 100, top 50 favorite movies of all time. Let me know what some of your other favorite fantasies are so that in the next couple of years in September, I can review some of them. At some point, I will have to do the undertaking of reviewing Lord of the Rings, and I have absolutely no idea how I'm going to attempt that, but I'm gonna try. And as always, keep your hopes high, your stress low, and true love right in the middle. I'll see you guys later.